All right, family. All right, family. We are in here, fresh and fly today. Fresh and fly. My co-host, Miss Caprice. What's happening, family? What's with you? What's with you? How you doing, Miss Caprice?
Oh, I'm fine today. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Doing good. Doing
Got
great. What you say?
what you got for me?
Oh, you know what? We gonna jump on this thing with this Shanti little ordeal with her new memoir. A new
Oh,
memoir
okay.
coming out about Shaq family. We ain't gonna waste no time. We're gonna jump right into this thing because I know people got stuff to do. But here we go, fam. We're gonna jump into the video and we're gonna come right back.
A life together.
Absolutely.
Well, first of all, leave it to Shaq. When your book was announced, he tweeted out, "Uh-oh, nah." And then he said, "I'm playing, congrats." He said he was just playing. But you said about the marriage, you said, looking back, I don't know that I was ever really in love with the man. It made me want to cry.
Yeah.
But I was in love with the idea of being married to the man I had a family with. I was in love with the idea of building a life together.
Now, what you think about that?
So often, when I tell people, we speak of relationships and marriages, and I say a woman can be in a marriage and not in love. And they say, oh, no, you have to love the man that you're married to. Well, here's a classic example of that. Just because you're married to a man don't mean that you love him. You can be in love with the idea of the things he provides, the comforts he provides, but do you really have to love him? And they say, well, a marriage won't work without love. Well, some marriages do, some don't. Classically, we see hers did not work. And maybe that was part of the reason. Now, we do know that there were some other indiscretions on Shaquille's part. But I think at this point in time, when you are bringing some things to the forefront, you need to think about how that affects your kids. I do know that she's doing this book, and this is her truth. But it would be hard for me to kind of say, I don't know if I was ever in love with my kid's father,
No,
and they're
I
grown,
could
they can absorb this.
I could have swore wasn't too long ago. I could have swore I heard Shaquille O'Neal on one of these maybe I think it was his own podcast. I think he was on there apologizing because the marriage ended because he was committing infidelity.
Correct.
Yeah.
The way, yeah, his infidelities and the way he treated her, and he did publicly say he thought she was a great wife, a good woman. He'll always love her. He'll always be there to provide for her and protect her, even though she's not his wife. And she has since then remarried. She's married to pastor now. Hendricks.
I
So
kind of I was kind of feeling a little I was kind of feeling a little sympathetic towards her. But now looking back, man, that's probably why he cheated on her. He probably cheated on her because maybe his intuition or his subconscious was saying, "Man, this woman don't really love me. She's just with me because I'm a celebrity and I got money."
Well, at that time he didn't. I remember they were high school sweethearts. So they started very young. So that, all of that plays a role into it. At that time in her life, she may not have really truly knew what it was to be in love with another person. As she say now, she is. She understand what love means. But she did say, I'm in love. I was in love with the idea of being with the person I had kids with and a family and a home. And most women are. The white picket fence syndrome. They want to get married and have the life. But when you take away everything else and then you say, are you really in love with that person? Does that person do something for you? You know? Mm,
So so would it be better to be in love and broke?
well, no, no. Well, according to the vows, it says for rich or poor, but nobody wants to be broke. But they say love conquers all. So even during those rough times, there are couples that can stay together during the broke times. So I don't know. From what I understand, love conquers all. So if love truly conquers all, maybe it is better to be in love and broke.
Let me see what else you got to say.
Absolutely. I was in love with the partnership that I never got. I didn't I didn't experience partnership in a relationship until now. But Shaquille and I have a great relationship
They're
now.
beautiful children.
And beautiful children. I would not change any part of my story, not one part of my story, no matter how depressed, how sad, how much of at the bottom I felt. I would not change one part of it because I feel like my reward is now. Like I am, I know this book is a memoir.
So you're writing a book, and in the book, you explaining to the world that, you know, I was married, but I wasn't in love to my children's father. Now, how do you think this? How do you think the children is gonna take that?
I don't know. I would question that, but it is her truth, and maybe her children were there, so they lived the truth. They
Do you
probably.
think it's necessary? Do you really think it's necessary to tell that kind of truth?
Well,
You know,
I don't know. When you're telling a truth, and your children have actually lived it and saw those depressed times and those down times, they lived it. So I'm sure that the children were not blind to what was going on, to the indiscretions and the unhappiness that their mind felt. No matter how much she tried to put on a great face, I'm sure the kids knew, something just wasn't quite right. But she was in love with the dream, the idea of marriage. Like a lot of women get married in love with the dream of marriage, but that don't necessarily mean they're going to get love. Not a lot of people understand what it means to have love, that love in a partner. And it goes back to another thing that we talked about quite often. Men want respect versus love. So we say they enter into a marriage without love. They say it's a weakness for a man to love. So what do you think?
I think that, you know she meets this guy while she in college. She meets Shaq when she in college, and um, she fall in love with his celebrity status. And because if she's saying she don't know if she ever really loved the man, we can't even say they was a college sweetheart. And he probably already knew that. He probably already knew that from day one, that, I'm with this chick, but if I wasn't who I am, then she probably wouldn't even be with me. He probably knew that from the jump. And so she is looking at it like, okay, this guy can provide for me. He's a celebrity. He's blah, blah, blah. So, hey, I trump that over my feelings. But she not calculating that down the road, as she age, as she get older, then the love starts to outweigh, in her mind, starts to outweigh what he can provide and who he is. That's what I think. But let's keep moving.
But it's honestly a manual, Tamron.
I see it. Yeah.
It is me encouraging. It is me
I mean, you talk
uplifting.
about finding financial independence. I mean,
Yeah.
you talk about in the book, and to that point, I was like, how much should we talk about Shaq? Because your whole new husband is right there.
Right.
I played with it in
It's
my head, too.
uncomfortable, right?
I played in my head, too, with it. But to your point, it's not about a rehashing. I'm telling you how I got to where I am, including this determination to be financially independent and have a legacy of your own, because you looked up and there's this beautiful house, this beautiful man, but it all was somebody else's money.
It was all somebody else's.
And you
How is somebody else's money when you married to the guy?
Well, because she at that time she was a mother. She was staying at home, so she had not ventured off into entrepreneurship, which she does now and runs her own business and several things that are her own. So she was just relying on what her husband provided. Now, mind you, Shaq has came and said himself that he don't even see how she could love him either. So him himself know that he didn't show off for her the way he should. That they were young. He was dealing with the fame. He was becoming famous. He didn't know how to deal with all the things that was going on. As we see, most of the athletes don't know how to deal with it, coming into it young and don't understand how to handle that instant fame.
How do you but I don't get that. That doesn't make no sense to me.
Why?
Because if she's saying she ain't never loved you,
Well, she says she don't know. if she's ever loved him. Because, you know, love can be different for different people. So it doesn't mean that she never really loved him. She could have loved him, but she just doesn't love him the way she loved Pastor Hendricks. So now, because I have something to compare it with, then it makes me question whether I really was in love. See, when we ain't got nothing to compare nothing to, what we have is fine. And we think it's great. But when we have something different, we evolve and understand,
Now,
was it just wait?
this is my thing, man. Why are you even talking about this?
Well, it's her truth.
Why
She's
should you
writing a
even
book.
talking about this? I
She's
mean,
writing
now
a
you
book.
you happy, you got your new husband, you know everything is lollipops and ice cream. Why are you even sitting up here talking about this in the
She's
first
writing her book. She's telling her story, as
place?
most celebrities do.
Let's keep going.
Said,
Yeah.
I've got to create my own, not just so I can buy my own, but so I can show my kids, my
Exactly.
daughters, my sons.
Yeah, I wanted to be able to leave a legacy. And again, in my book, I talk about that because I want to leave a legacy for my children. I turned around and realized I don't have a career. I don't have my own money coming in from somewhere. I don't have. And it wasn't until reality hit me in my face that I was like, wait a minute. I've been financially dependent on another human being this entire time, and I have nothing to show for it. Wow. Nothing. And literally built Basketball Wives out of survival mode. You know, that's one thing people don't understand is that was a survival mode. I was like, there has to be a place that we as women can have a platform, have a voice, find a purpose.
Yeah.
And despite, you know, the audience finding, you know, it's entertainment, right? But at the same time, there are so many women that now have a platform to do business, that they've made money.
I love that.
You know,
I love that.
Here we go.
So she created a platform.
Here we go. Here we go, man. I mean, I hadn't read the book. I hadn't read the book because I don't know what's all in there. But I would think that she would be somewhere thanking Shaq because he provided the luncheon pad for her to do those things. Am I right or wrong?
And I think she's grateful for that. She just said she wouldn't change a thing in her life. Now, remember, she said she wouldn't have changed anything that she experienced, even the highs and the very, very lows. She wouldn't change it. I don't think that she's trying to take away from what he's added to her life. She's just speaking her truth that she wasn't really sure she was in love with him, as so many women do this. I think she's just providing an avenue for women to understand that you may not know what true love is when the fame is also added to it. You know, look at these women now who are having all these kids for Nick Cannon, um, for what's the ball player from used to play for Carolina, you know, having all these kids and without the men
Oh, you
even,
talking about Cap? You talking about Cam Newton?
yeah, without the men even marrying them. These women are not married, but yet they think that they're in love or they think that sex with these men is pleasurable and it's okay. So, you know, she just was someone who was in love with the idea of marriage and wanted to be married to her kid's father. And it worked out for her, you know, that she was able to build a career from that. She discovered that I am only in his shadow and she found a way out. You know, that's just kind of how it worked out for her. But what about these women who are having these kids depending on these men and they're not even married to them? And there's no love.
Well, that goes back to your choices, man, and how you choose to go about choosing a mate. But I guess my problem with her is that listen, okay, you're doing fine now. You was able to get something going after you and Shaq split up uh, that you can call your own. But don't sit up here and act like for 1 minute that it's almost a guarantee that you would have been in the same spot that you in now if you wouldn't have happened to be in a marriage with Shaquille O'Neal. And it's
I,
okay to tell your story, but you could have left the part about I don't even know if I ever loved him, or I question my love for him. Uh, you could have left all that stuff out. We don't need to know that. We don't need to know that. All for for your family's sake, because y'all all they will always be family because they got children together. They all be always be connected. So for y'all's sake, y'all know what happened. Y'all know what happened. Your children had a sense of what happened. So how about you just move on and just say, you know what, you know, I kind of got things going after the divorce. You know, I kind of proved to myself that I could get some stuff going too. How about we frame it like that instead of sitting up there saying that? Now, of course, Shaq sometimes can be a bozo, and he's going, oh yeah, yeah, I don't need all that foolish.
Come on now. Come
Yeah,
on.
sometimes
But
he
basically, but
go ahead.
basically, I don't see her expressing that because I think anything wrong with her expressing that. I think what it does is say to women or caution women that when you get involved in certain relationships, whether the guy is wealthy or well off, well, number one, not to lose yourself. And remember, are you really in tune with that man? Have you got to know him? Is he the partner that you really seek? Can you really love this man? You know, I personally don't believe a marriage without love will flourish and it will survive.
But the thing about it is, she say that now. You playing the hindsight game, okay? But then this what you should have said now. What you saying now then? But you know why you couldn't say that then? Because the money and the fame and the lifestyle, your imagination, you couldn't see through all that to see what you see now. So of course, now the children have to grow up without two parents in the home. So it's gonna affect them the most. It's gonna always affect the children when a family splits up. Always. There's no getting around that. But now you so happy and you so this, you so that, and you're trying to teach women how to navigate through that. But you couldn't navigate through that when you first met Shaq and you seen what he had and his potential.
But
Because it's
she didn't
huh?
say she wasn't in love with him. She said she don't know if she was.
Oh man, come on
And
now.
that's because it doesn't feel like what she has
Well,
now.
yeah,
And she
yeah,
doesn't
go ahead.
understand is that love can be different for different men. It doesn't mean that she didn't love Shaq. I think that's what she don't understand. Is that it doesn't mean she didn't love Shaq. She just loved him differently than she loved Pastor
That's
Hendricks.
not what she said though.
Well, but she says she don't know. So that lack of knowledge. So her lack of knowledge and knowing or being able somebody to help her process those feelings, it doesn't necessarily negate that she did not love him. She says she don't know. She don't think she was. And so that means I don't know. It it I could have been, but I also could have not been. And that's what
Well, of
she's
course,
saying.
because this is fresh. After the marriage is over, you got somebody new. Of course, you can look back and say, "I don't even know if I was in love. I don't know this. I don't know that." Of course, you can say that because the new feelings are so overwhelming. Things are going fairly good. I'm not gonna say great because everybody have ups and downs in their life, but it's easy to say that kind of stuff because things are looking up and the new relationship is fresh. So, man, I don't put too much on when people talk like that.
But see,
Especially, I really don't put too much on that.
you got to know a story. Now, you know, Pastor Hendrick is not the first relationship she was in after Shaq. So she has some other experiences to understand what love feels like, you know, and for her, based on what she's feeling right now and the partnership she has right now, what she's saying is it didn't feel like that before. So I wonder, was I really in love? Because this feels so different. That's all she's.
So let me ask you this. So, I mean, I I don't condone cheating at
Mhm.
all, but man, if somebody come, just think about this. If you had a man, right, and just so happened you made a mistake and you cheated on him,
Mhm.
and y'all broke up, and you said, "Man, I messed that up, man. You know, I'm sorry." You did your apologize and did all that. Then he came back, and you found out you heard him telling somebody else that, "Man, I ain't even love her." What man? I mean, how that's gonna make you? I bet you gonna be thinking different about your action. Now you might not say I ain't no cheater, but you gonna be thinking different.
Remember now, or do men ever really love you? Do a woman ever really think a man love her? Do men ever really show love? Because remember now, the way men tell it is all they need to be is respected. So do they ever really love us in a marriage? Do they ever really? Because they think that's an emotion, and men are not supposed to be emotional. Come on, Kevin. So do they ever really love the woman?
No,
So
no,
now
no,
when you
no.
get a woman who says she's not sure if she was ever really in love with the man, but yet she married him, there was a problem. I understand it. I understand it. I've been married and not in love, because sometimes you can be content with the relationship and what it provides, and the love is not there. Doesn't mean it's a bad man. It doesn't mean that he's a great man. It just means that the other things that require marriage works.
So that means it was all a game.
No, it means that the
Um,
other things work.
so
Not
what
every.
are my expectations from you? So do I come into a relationship or a marriage saying I'm gonna marry a woman that might or might not love me?
Well, you won't know, because if
Okay,
she
okay.
was,
So that means if you
was
don't know, and you saying you won't know.
let me ask you a question. What makes a woman feel love in a relationship?
What you mean? What
How
makes
does
a woman
a
feel
woman
so?
feel love in a relationship?
I don't get the question. She feels
Me-
love from huh?
Meaning, what makes a woman, when you're in a relationship with a female, what makes her feel love?
It
How
could
does
be
she fall in love?
it could be a multitude of things that can make a woman fall in love.
Like what?
Multitude. A woman can fall in love with a man because he got money.
Okay.
A
And,
woman can fall in love with a man strictly for sex. Now,
mhm.
I'm not gonna say all this stuff is not temporary, but it's most of the time people will move towards what they are missing in life or what they fantasize about, and once they get uh, a taste of it, then they swear to God it's the best thing in the world.
So
Until go ahead.
basically, what you're saying is that women fall in love based on what they receive from the man, no matter what it is, whether it's love, sex, looks, whatever it is, she has to get it from that man. That's where the love, that's where the connection comes from, in what she receives from him. Well, he admitted in himself he wasn't given anything. So what does she have to fall in love with? If
Well,
you're not
according
giving anything, what do I have to fall in love with?
hey, well, he was giving her more than she was giving him.
How you say that?
She wouldn't be where she at now if it wasn't for him.
He could. She gave him children. She did her
No,
part,
no, they both had children.
but she brought them in. She carried them. So don't say she didn't bring anything into the marriage. Just because he was wealthy, she still brought something. She was there. Him by his own admission say this woman showed up for
He
him.
could have had children with anybody.
But it's still the bottom line, he probably could, but would they have supported him in the way she did? She was there for him. She did not go outside of the marriage. She did not treat on him. She was loyalty. So all of that comes, there's a price that comes with that, because you don't have that many good women. She was a good woman. So by
No,
his
she wasn't a good woman to him because she ain't never loved him.
but did it require that she loved him to be good? He made she didn't he didn't do what he needed to do to make her feel love, but yet she showed up and gave him what he needed in that marriage. She showed up. She stayed loyal, she stayed faithful, she gave him kids, she managed his house, she was there, she upheld herself in front of people, behind closed doors. She was what he needed as a wife. He just did not show up as a husband. And with that being said, what do you expect her to do? How can I love someone who doesn't show up? You can't. You
Well,
can't. You can't fall in love with a man who doesn't show up in the marriage.